Emily, did you get a good night's sleep? Yep, she had such a dopey sleeping face. There's no way she's waking up before tomorrow. Suddenly, I felt lightheaded. In the hotel lobby, clinging tightly to Michael's arm without a care, was Lisa. Emily, what do you want to do? In response to that question, I impulsively replied, I want to get back at those two. I surprised even myself by giving such a malicious answer. But Tom, on the other end of the phone, gave me a gentle smile. My name is Emily, and I'm 24 years old. I've been working at a local bank for 2 years since graduating from college. I've always been more reserved than others since I was a child, and often was told I'm stubborn. However, this personality was perfect for my job as a banker. I never disclose any secrets from our clients, no matter the situation. And actually, I didn't have many friends to talk about the detailed aspects of my job. Even when my family would ask me to share a little bit about it, I would always keep my mouth shut. After all, my relationship with my family was never that great to begin with. I was what you often call a latchkey kid, spending a lot of time alone from elementary school, in the evenings and nights. While it was partly because my parents worked late, my slightly cold demeanor often led people to wonder who I inherited it from. Both my father and mother have bright and friendly personalities. Perhaps that's why they didn't know how to deal with an introvert like me. So, I have no memories from my childhood of going out somewhere with my parents, or receiving a special gift. Typically, when I came home, there would be a $10 note left on the table, and it was normal for me to get by with that for a few days. This habit continued until I was a university student, and sometimes I experienced nights where I was so hungry I couldn't sleep. The people who genuinely worried about my situation and frequently invited me for dinner were Lisa's parents, who lived next door. Lisa's personality was the complete opposite of mine. She was bright and friendly. And every time my parents met her, they would say, "Oh, if only Sophie were our daughter." On the other hand, Lisa's parents seemed to understand that I was always alone, and they cared for me. Whenever they saw me looking lonely, they would invite me to their home. As a result, Sophie, who was in the same grade as me, naturally came into contact with me. However, even though we were technically friends, Lisa's attitude towards me was somewhat condescending. "Emily, you're being taken care of by my family, aren't you?" Lisa often said this because her father was the head of a major advertising company, implying she was a typical rich girl, which influenced her behavior. Lisa, flaunting her wealth, would often say to me behind her parents' back, "Emily's house is kind of poor, isn't it?" Also, when Lisa's family returned from trips, her parents, being considerate, would give me souvenir key holders, but in the end, Lisa would take them from me, making them all hers. Maybe Lisa doesn't really feel loved by her parents? I sometimes thought. Since I, too, lived a life where I didn't feel much attention or love from my family, I feel like I understand Lisa's feelings a bit. Indeed, Lisa's parents did love her deeply, but perhaps Sophie herself did not feel that way. Considering Lisa's feelings, I couldn't resist her words and actions very much. Some time passed, and one day, suddenly, there was talk of me getting married. It was an unexpected event even for myself. I didn't have a boyfriend per se, and the only man I was friendly with was Tom, a friend from high school. Tom and I had absolutely no romantic feelings for each other. We were just good friends. My marriage was arranged by my parents, who were worried about me, who couldn't get a boyfriend. One day, my mother suggested, "Why don't you have a matchmaking session with a child of my acquaintance?" I was taken aback at the moment. Even though I have little experience in romance, I'm still in the early 20s. The idea of having a matchmaking session seemed a bit too soon. When I expressed this feeling to my mother, she replied, "Emily, you're not the cute type and you're not popular, so having a love marriage will be difficult. You should be thankful for even having a matchmaking opportunity." My father chimed in, "Emily always looks grumpy, so it would be nice if our future grandchild is a cheerful kid. I felt lonely, as if I was the only one in a different world within my family. Nevertheless, I was sincerely doing my job, but I didn't think that it would increase my chances of marriage. Life is unpredictable, so I decided to give the matchmaking that my mother recommended a try. The man's name was Michael, a salaryman about 5 years older than me. He worked as a creator at an advertising company. Michael's sociable way of talking, his behavior, everything was precisely to the liking of my parents. Normally in matchmaking, there's a point where the parents leave so the two can talk freely. Although his parents left the table to give us privacy, my parents continued to chat with him cheerfully. Our Misa is not a charming girl, but we hope you'll consider her favorably. My father said. Not at all, I think Amelia's a wonderful woman. Michael replied with a smile. Being complimented like this by a man was a first-time experience for me, and my heart was secretly pounding. However, even though we didn't get to have an in-depth conversation, just the two of us, the next thing I knew, our marriage was decided. Honestly, it felt like the marriage discussions progressed more among our parents than between us. But I was thinking positively that he and I could build a good relationship from here on out. Once we started our life together, I could feel Michael's extremely bright and positive personality. The total opposite of my own, and his powerful energy. His spending might be a bit bold, but he works hard in return, so I am reassured. Additionally, having grown up without feeling much affection, his kind attitude warmed my heart. Hey, how about Hawaii for our honeymoon? I had hardly ever left my hometown before, so I was a bit surprised by his suggestion. Indeed, Michael sometimes showed his forceful side, but I could always discover unexpected facets of him. Making every day fresh and our life together was enjoyable, though there were concerns. One of them was the existence of Lisa. Michael and I decided to start our new life not so far from my parents' house. But there was an unexpected development. Lisa, to my surprise, worked at the same company as Michael. Lisa served as the secretary to Michael's boss. We were in the same school year, but went to different universities, so I didn't know where she worked. Lisa seemed to have joined a company that her father manages. Later, Lisa started visiting our new home every now and then. I wonder what we three might talk about when together. Well, it's already decided. The two of them often talked about work, so I often moved to the kitchen to prepare meals while they chatted. I, who went to a different university and had become distant from Lisa, never thought that I would engage with her again in this way. However, I've grown up now. I'm no longer the girl who was controlled by Lisa as in the past. I thought Michael was just enjoying his time talking about work with Lisa. At that moment, I was swamped with bank work and couldn't spend enough time with Michael. So I silently approved of her frequent visits, thinking she might fill the gap. Is the next snack ready, Emily? Responding to Lisa's imperious words, I say almost. I, moving between the kitchen and the living room, had become accustomed to such situations. But for a moment, I secretly glanced at Michael. Honestly, I wanted him to say something like, Lisa, isn't that rude to my wife? However, Michael, reaching for the snacks, expresses his thanks by saying, this is delicious, and immediately continues to chat happily with Lisa. Our situation was such in the early days of our marriage, but we plan to go on a slightly belated honeymoon next week. If I can have time alone with Michael, we might get along better. My chest swelled with expectations, but I never thought that I would be betrayed. Our honeymoon in Hawaii was truly like a dream. The contrast between the clear blue sky and the sea was like a painting. I felt I could stare at it for hours without getting bored. In the midst of it, Michael enjoyed snorkeling and jet skiing in the sea. And I watched him from under the parasol, thinking, ah, that man is my husband, with a contented feeling. Certainly, spending time just the two of us helped deepen our relationship. We were able to enjoy delicious food together and have deep conversations in our hotel room. I was able to see unexpected sides of Michael and understand him more deeply. Indeed, there were differences in our thinking, but they were accepted as elements that enriched our relationship. However, a happening completely changed such a happy time. I never thought something like this would happen during our honeymoon. But it occurred on the third night. "Shall we go back for today?" Michael suggested, and we returned to the hotel a bit early. Usually, making tea was my role, but Michael said, "Leave it to me today," and made tea with the hotel's pot. Even though it was bagged tea, it was rare for him to make it, and I felt the deepening of our relationship. As I accepted the tea feeling such small happiness, I somehow noticed the taste was strange. With each sip, there definitely was an odd flavor. When I involuntarily peered into the cup, something white was settling at the bottom. I praised myself internally for not drinking it all. "Emily, are you okay?" "I'm fine," I answered, feigning to take a sip of tea while secretly pouring it down the sink in the bathroom, my mind filled with anxiety and surprise. A suspicion crossed my mind, wondering if Michael had put something in my drink. I hated to think such thoughts, but I couldn't ignore the reality in front of me. And as if to confirm that thought, I was assaulted by an intense drowsiness. However, not drinking all the tea turned out to be fortunate as I did not lose consciousness entirely. Suddenly, my feelings of distrust toward Michael intensified, and I decided to pretend to sleep and observe his behavior. "Sorry, suddenly I feel so lethargic. I'm going to lie down. Good night." I surrendered myself quietly to the bed. After a little while, I heard Michael's footsteps approaching. He quietly approached my side, as if to check my breathing and movement. I continued to pretend to be asleep with all my might. Then, I sensed Michael moving. He walked quietly around the room, eventually moving towards the door, and went outside. I confirmed the fading of his footsteps and quickly rose from the bed. There probably was a sleeping pill in that tea. After Michael put me to sleep, he was clearly intending to do something. I didn't understand the intention or objective behind his action, but I intuited a high possibility that he was planning something bad. Then, a name suddenly surfaced in my mind, Lisa. I hadn't confirmed their relationship yet, but for some reason, her face came to mind. Whether there was a connection or it was just a misunderstanding, I didn't know yet. Sometimes, I sensed a peculiar tension and a special atmosphere between Michael and Lisa. I ignored it, thinking it was just my imagination, but a question was sprouting in the depths of my heart. It's a bit unbelievable that Lisa is also in Hawaii. But if that's the case, what on earth is Michael thinking? Confused, I hurried towards the lobby. When I asked the hotel staff about Michael's destination, I was told he took a taxi to another hotel. "Please hurry." "Are you okay, ma'am? Is there some kind of trouble?" Despite my not answering, the taxi driver, perhaps sensing my haste, smoothly drove off. Thanks to that, we quickly reached the hotel. "Please wait a bit, I'll be right back." The driver nodded, and I hurried to the hotel lobby. It was a bit more modest, but a more tranquil hotel than the one we were staying at. I'm later than Michael, but maybe he's still in the lobby. Anxiety raced through my mind when suddenly, I heard a voice. "Hey Michael, I've been waiting." "What were you doing?" Sorry, I got a bit held up." "Is Emily sound asleep?" "Yeah, she had such a dumb sleeping face. She'll definitely be out till tomorrow." A sudden shock coursed through me upon hearing their voices. There, in the hotel lobby, tightly clinging to Michael's arm without a care in the world, was Lisa. In a panic, I launched my phone's camera app and began to take pictures of the two. Astonishingly, they even shared a kiss right there, a moment which I also captured. I followed them quietly as they headed to the front desk. Then, I nonchalantly took a seat near the front, turning on my phone's voice recorder. "Reservation for 2. Michael and Lisa, correct? Yes, that's right. Are you traveling as a couple? Yes, we are. How did it come to this? My phone recorded the conversation as I forced a bitter smile, feeling somewhat resigned. Lisa, what the hell? They're saying they're married. Michael is sweetly embracing Lisa by the shoulder. I firmly captured them, hand in hand, heading to their hotel room in a photo, then returned to the waiting taxi. The driver, seeing my tears, restarted the car without a word and took me back to my hotel. He must have noticed that something serious had happened from my tears. But these were not simply tears of sorrow. I had been constantly mocked by Lisa, and to add insult to injury, she took away everything I held dear. Even when I thought I was finally free from her, it's unbearable to see her trying to take my husband into her hands. Just recalling the image of Michael putting his arm around Lisa makes me feel sick. I have no feelings left for that man anymore. Even if my parents will be saddened by this, it has nothing to do with me now. I certainly plan to give them a piece of my mind. But what should be my first move? I returned to my hotel room and pondered for a while, but my mind is still in chaos, and I can't come up with anything. As my mind went blank, the vibration of my cell phone brought me back to reality. Looking at the screen, it was a message from Tom, my old friend. Enjoying the honeymoon? Receiving this message, my chest tightened further and tears welled up. Tom and I slowly built our friendship after being in the same committee during high school. While seeing Lisa's attitude led my friends to gradually distance themselves from me. Only Tom continued to interact with me unchanged, without minding the bad-mouthing and backbiting from Lisa. In college, we happened to spend time on the same campus, and our friendship deepened further. We experienced various things together and shared each other's troubles. Especially, I often couldn't confide in anyone but Tom about things related to Lisa. Receiving a message from him, I instinctively called, and the moment the call connected, I sought help, my voice trembling. What should I do? Are you okay? What happened? Did something happen with your husband? Tom, surprised by my sudden call, responded compassionately. His usual gentle voice made me feel reassured, and I began to detail everything that had happened. Tom listened quietly, seeming momentarily uncertain how to respond. I myself can barely believe the situation I'm currently experiencing. Lisa. I can't believe she'd go so far. Tom had always disliked Lisa's backbiting and spiteful comments, listening sympathetically whenever I spoke about them. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I'm shocked too. But this is the reality. What do you think I should do? Emily, what do you want to do? To that question, I impulsively answered, I want to get back at those two. I was even surprised at myself for responding so negatively. But Tomo gently laughed on the other end of the line. Actually, I was thinking the same thing. Can I help you out? How about coming back to America first? Once you've calmed down a bit, maybe decide what you want to do? Encouraged by his words, I nodded. As I started to pack, something unexpected appeared before me, Michael's wallet that he especially cherished. I remembered him saying that he separated his wallets into one for valuable items and another for everyday use during overseas trips. This was clearly the valuable wallet. Feeling a slight joy inside, I put the wallet in my bag. I also neatly organized his luggage. I'll call you again when I get back to America. With heartfelt gratitude for Tom's words, I said, thank you. Certainly, I'm not very sociable and am a bit stiff in my demeanor. But that's no reason to be treated so horribly. I will definitely make them regret this, I vowed to myself, quickly packed for the two of us, and left the hotel. After securing my suitcase with a lock, I, along with my carry-on, headed to the airport. I checked the suitcase at the airport's luggage facility and, taking only my bag, boarded the plane. During the flight, I checked an email from Tom. It read, "Given the situation, they probably won't be able to return for a few days. Take it easy once you arrive." Following his advice, I immediately fell into a deep sleep as soon as I got home. The next day, upon waking, I noticed a slew of missed calls from Michael. At first, I ignored them, but decided to answer when he called again. "Emily, where are you? What are you thinking?" "Actually, I came back because I was worried. It seems like a friend got involved in a traffic accident. I wanted to contact you, but your mobile was unreachable. Why did you go back without saying anything? Where's my luggage?" Having just you in a spacious and expensive room for two seemed a bit extravagant. "Oh, I left your luggage securely at the airport's storage." "I know. The airport contacted me. But there's no key to the carry case. I can't get to the passport and wallet inside." "Eh? I didn't lock the carry. Maybe the zipper is broken? By the way, where were you that day? Your phone was unreachable all the time." My question seemed to unsettle Michael momentarily, which was to be expected. After all, I knew what he had been up to. I was out for a bit. I need to go to visit my friend in the hospital. I'm quite busy, so talk to you later." Wait a minute. Nevertheless, I ended the call. He would somehow manage to open the carry case, though there was no passport or wallet inside to begin with. While it may take some time, I was thinking that as long as I go through the proper procedures, reissue is possible, and there's no way I can't return to America. With that in mind, I decided to start preparing for the next step. And finally, the day came when Michael would return to America. However, when he entered the house, nothing was there. He contacted me immediately. "Why is there nothing in the house? Where are you now? Coming here?" "Actually, I'm back at my parents' home now." After conveying that, I hung up the phone. After a while, I heard a car engine from afar and recognized it as it parked in front of the house. Long time no see. When I led Michael into the living room, he followed me with an angry look. "What are you thinking? You hid the passport and wallet, didn't you? Let me explain what's happening." I grasped the doorknob and slowly opened the door. In the living room were Tom, my parents, Lisa and her parents, and, surprisingly, even Michael's parents. Everyone's expressions were varied and, notably, Michael's parents looked pallid, perhaps from shock and anxiety. What exactly is happening here?" "Oh, Michael? Hello there." Michael directed his gaze toward Tom. "Who are you?" To Michael's sullen question, Tom replied with a light smile, "Emily's classmate." Afterward, he handed a document to Michael. What is this?" Gradually, Michael's expression freezes. "You understand now, right? This is evidence that you were using other people's designs without permission. I was surprised when I touched your computer a little and so many popped out." Astonishingly, Michael had been secretly plagiarizing the designs of creators from another company. And Tom, an expert with computers, instantly cracked Michael's password and verified the content inside. Lisa's father, who is at the top of the company where Michael works, was very angry about his fraudulent activities. It's no wonder, because Michael's actions greatly damaged the company's credibility. To think that you would do such a thing and tarnish our company's name. Michael is surprised by those words and his face turns pale blue. I continued to spread more photos on the living room table. The photos showed Michael and Lisa meeting up in a hotel lobby, exchanging kisses, and entering a hotel room together. Lastly, I took out my cell phone and played back the conversation between Michael and Lisa from that day. Lisa came back home early, just to be safe, huh? Lisa's skin is clearly more tanned compared to a while ago. From her slightly brown skin, you could tell she had been enjoying a leisurely time on a southern island. She turned her face away with a sullen attitude as if she knew nothing. Michael, why did you do such a thing? Michael's father seems to have reached the limit of his patience, speaking with a trembling voice. Next to him, Michael's mother is staring at her son's face with an expression of surprise and disbelief, as if she were witnessing a nightmare. Lisa, what is the meaning of this? Now it was Lisa's mother who yelled at her daughter. On the other hand, Lisa, engrossed in her smartphone screen, ignoring the mood of the situation, finally seemed to notice our voices. However, there were no signs of remorse on her face. In fact, she wore a defiant look, as if she wanted to say, "What did I do wrong?" But it doesn't matter. It's Emily's fault for not being cool and for having a poor upbringing. Michael was the one who invited me. Why am I the only one getting scolded? What a disrespectful attitude. Honestly, I am utterly appalled by such a brazen demeanor. Amidst this, my parents joined the conversation. Both of them were calm, and they didn't seem particularly angry. Young people sometimes make careless mistakes, and Michael might be one of them. After all, Lisa is charming. She comes from a good family too. Yes, really. Emily is a bit unfriendly and lacks cuteness, so I can understand why his feelings might wander elsewhere. I couldn't believe that my own parents would say such things. However, at that moment, Tom stepped forward and threw words at my parents with a slightly stern tone. Hey, both of you, what do you think about Emily? There is no reason for her to be cheated on, is there? In such a heavy atmosphere, the next to speak were Lisa's parents. Lisa's father approached me, gently placed his hand on my shoulder, and looked at my parents. I usually have no intention of interfering in other families' matters, but I believe Emily is a very good person. As he says, no matter what the circumstances, cheating is never permissible. We appreciate your kind words about Lisa, but to think she'd set her sights on Emily's husband. We might have raised her poorly. Lisa's mother continued speaking, glancing slightly towards Lisa. Surrounded by the three of them, I felt tears welling up. At that moment, Michael's mother deeply bowed toward us with a sincere expression. Emily, I truly don't know how to apologize. Of course, we will proceed with the divorce and pay the property division you request. What, divorce, seriously? Property division too? Michael let out a surprised voice at those words. It seemed to be an unexpected development for him. I am not a saint who will just quietly accept the incident that happened during the honeymoon. Lisa, you will be involved in the money matters too. Why me too? I'm not involved, right? Lisa's voice became high-pitched. In response, Michael angrily said, Lisa, don't bail on this alone. The atmosphere in the room was incredibly tense. Eventually, Michael was made to fill out divorce papers by his parents, and a discussion schedule, involving a lawyer, was established. Naturally, Lisa will also participate in the discussion. As for me, I intend to claim a substantial amount in property division. Afterwards, it seems that Michael got into serious trouble at work. Not only was he fired from his company, but there were also rumors of lawsuits from other companies. As for Lisa, her relationship with Michael became known within the company, making her position as a secretary difficult, and eventually, she decided to quit. On the other hand, my life took an unexpected turn. Actually, I ended up marrying Tom. Due to the sudden turn of events, it was my second speed marriage. I really hadn't thought I'd get married again so quickly. Actually, I've liked you for a long time and always wished for your happiness, no matter who you were with. But, before you get caught up with another bad person, will you marry me? While I was initially surprised at Tom's proposal, I decided to accept. Even though my marriage with Brian was without a dating period, Tom has been a friend since high school and I know his personality well. I hadn't thought Tom harbored such feelings for me, but feeling my heart race during his confession, I was sure I could probably love him too. Thus, I made the decision to sever my relationships with my biological parents and Lisa. I had never received financial assistance from my parents, and due to their demeaning attitude towards me when times were tough, I had no regrets about cutting ties. On the other hand, Lisa's parents told me, "Our daughter may be terrible, but please rely on us like substitute parents if you want," and gave me warm words. Michael's parents are also very worried about me. They call me frequently as if to care for my heart, and I continue to have a good relationship with them. However, I'm completely done with seeing Michael and Lisa. By severing ties with my parents, and Michael and Lisa, I felt truly liberated. Looking toward a new future, I've come to believe that the upcoming days will surely be wonderful.